Now, can you transition us to the point where I can't remember what you said the first We Fit. When you were doing We Fit, what was your I mean, did that make you tired? Were you out of breath doing it? And then you moved on to Insanity. What was the progression like? How was your body feeling as you started to develop a little bit of aerobic health, a little bit of strength, a little bit of endurance? What kind of physical changes were you noticing?
So with We Fit, there was some yoga in there. There was a little bit of cardio, but I mean, it was like destroying me. But you progress really quickly, you know, and you sort of like level out pretty quickly with something like the We Fit. So I mean, you know,
the trainer isn't there to be yelling at you.
What We Fit did was showed me that I could do it every day, and like that I could stick with it, and I could at least try, and you know, I wouldn't be in pain, and I could just stick with something.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Insanity was
consistency is really important.
Exactly. And Insanity was insane. I mean, it really is. I think it took 3 weeks before I actually finished an entire workout without stopping.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I did 2 days of Insanity before I stopped it and said, well, maybe I should work up to this. And right now I'm working my way through T25, and I finished the first month, and it was the last workout of the first 5 weeks of training. I finally got through the whole thing.
I mean, it's an amazing program, honestly. Like as a bodyweight program, as a really intense program, it's also where I learned about intensity, honestly. And that's one of my biggest things nowadays. Like sometimes I'll do like a 7-minute workout nowadays, but it's just so intense and it just destroys me. And that just shows the power of intensity. And there's that theory, not theory, but that saying, you know, like how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So you bring that intensity to that, you can bring that to a whole bunch of stuff in your life.
Mm-hmm. And then did the Insanity program, did that make you feel like you were ready to do the physical demands of being an EMT? I mean, I don't think, maybe people do realize, but being an EMT or paramedic is an extremely physical job, you know, constantly lifting and moving patients and getting into, you know, climbing 3 flights of stairs to find somebody who weighs 300 pounds and is having a heart attack. Like, there's a lot of physical effort with that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it wasn't so much that as much as I just wanted to learn more about the human body. You know, I wasn't, sure. I had wanted to be a doctor, quite frankly, very, very badly until I was about 16. And I don't even remember what sort of changed me off that path, but I love biology and I love medicine, and it's just always been fascinating to me. So to me, like the path of least resistance, at least, was to become an EMT. Mm-hmm. So that's really what it's about. I wanted to learn more about my body and the human body. But you're right. It's a huge part of the training is actually how to do like proper lifting and proper body mechanics, because you see a lot of EMTs with back injuries, neck injuries, shoulder injuries. It's really common. And in New York City, where I trained, we're only allowed to, well, I mean, I don't live there anymore, but you're only allowed as an EMT to move someone who is 250 pounds or less, because over that, you're supposed to call the fire department.
Interesting. And because the fire department brings equipment?
They have different equipment, but they're
bigger?
They have higher physical training requirements.
Okay. That makes sense. And then when your buddy that you met there convinced you to do a triathlon, was the Ironman the first one that you did?
No, so that's funny too. Okay, so he convinced me to do a triathlon, and it was Olympic distance out here in the Hamptons, actually, the mighty Montauk Triathlon, which was so fun. It was a very mellow triathlon in a way, and I finished it in 2 hours and 32 minutes,
nice.
Or something like that, 37 maybe. But I did that, and I was like, okay, great, cool. And then I was done basically, and oddly enough, I decided to start teaching an Insanity class. So my wife had a yoga studio, and I started teaching a sort of Insanity-based class. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine came to the class who was an Ironman. He had done 2 Ironmans, and now that guy has done 6. Like, he's very hardcore, but he came to the class, and the class that I was doing was like Insanity times 2. It was really, really hardcore. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, he's like totally gassed, and he's like, oh, that was amazing, man. He's like, you really should try Ironman. You know, have you thought about it? I'm like, no, you know, I did the triathlon, and I was like, I was like, I have zero interest in doing Ironman. I respect that you do it, but I do not want to do it. And that very night, my buddy who got me into triathlon sent me an email, and he's like, Ironman France, June next month. Are you in? I was like, yes.
Wow.
So then that's why then I signed up for the New Orleans Half Ironman just in the middle of that, just to have a longer event as a stepping stone. But it was literally like, I'm not doing it, not a chance, and then did it.
Wow. So yeah, your subconscious had some time to process what your friend had said to you. The first friend who, when you said, no way, I'm never going to do it. And then your second friend, maybe it was just the little trigger that you needed was the right person to ask you.
Yeah, exactly. And then, we ended up doing a lot of training together. And the thing is, fortunately or unfortunately, if you're training for Ironman, you pretty much can only be friends with people who are training for Ironman.
Right.
Because nobody else, you have to have a very understanding spouse or partner, and then have a friend or two, or, our team that's training, because otherwise you're not going to have much human contact.
Yeah, that's true. How much time did you spend training for the first Olympic, the Mighty Montauk, once you decided you were going to do it?
Oh my God, not nearly enough time. I was so underprepared. I mean, the biggest thing. So the swim, I panicked in the swim because that was before I knew total immersion. So I basically doggy paddled the whole swim. The bike was always my strongest point. So I rocked the bike, actually. I felt really good about the bike. But then I got on the run and I was just like, terrible. I mean, it was just terrible. And I slugged out and I got through it and it was okay. But I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, I don't ever want to do it again. So the training for that was pretty minimal. I'll tell you, actually, I was on the track team for 6 years. Like, I can run. So the first time I decided to go for a longer training run, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna run to the West Side Highway and back, which from where I lived at the time would have been like a mile. And I literally got 2 blocks and I'm like heaving and like resting on my knees. I'm like, screw this. And I went home. So I just, really had to stay with it.